What a headshot! What a head!
How's it, guys? This is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'll be taking you guys through the best predicted team for the upcoming Game Week 6. If you guys don't know, I've actually split the best team series into two different videos. The first one we covered yesterday. You guys can go check that out either in the link in the description below or just click on my channel and navigate to it. But as I said, released that yesterday, and that video revolved around the top 1000 template or the highest owned players within the top 1000 managers in terms of the overall rankings. But in terms of today's video, we're going to be focusing on the second part of that best team series, and that's going to be the best predicted team for the upcoming Game Week 6. So what I always do is I go over to fantasyfootballfix.com and use the assistant manager tool, choose my settings for only Game Week 6 and drop that bench slider all the way down to 0, as we generally only focus on the starting 11. Something that I've also added to this specific video is I've taken the fixture analyzer from the Ultimate Guide series and I've included it in this video just because I think it gives you guys some nice context on what the Fantasy Football Fix algorithm and what fixtures it actually is favoring. So we'll be taking a look at the best defensive and attacking rated fixtures in terms of Game Week 6 so that you guys can also use that to navigate your own specific team selection. The last thing before we get onto the action, I just wanted to say that the reason I'm releasing this video on a Tuesday, I actually wanted to prolong it a little bit later on in the week, was there was a suggestion from a viewer on yesterday's video saying that I should release this specific video on a Tuesday, as he thinks that should probably be the best time to do it. So if you guys like that idea, post it on the comments below, or if you have another suggestion, not too fond of a Tuesday for the best predicted team, put your suggestions down below. I always read the comments and I take you guys' feedback quite seriously. But now that all the admin's done, let's get right into the action. Sit back, relax, and let's get right into it. So before we get on to the best fixtures from an attacking and a defensive point of view, I wanted to give you guys yet another reminder about this League Cup and what's happening with the midweek fixtures. So tonight, I'm recording this on a Tuesday, and then also tomorrow night on a Wednesday, the League Cup is going to be having some fixtures. Now it is quite an early stage of the competition, so I wouldn't really worry about too many premium assets. I think most of them will probably be benched, but there are some clashes that have actually been quite tough. So I think that those starting 11s will probably be quite strong, but as long as you're kind of looking for those injury, looking also for that playing time, you guys should be perfectly fine, and just basically treat it as a normal kind of Champions League midweek where you still have to analyze your players and see if they're coming out of these fixtures relatively uninjured, and if they do manage to pick up a goal and assist or maybe a clean sheet, that's always going to be quite good for their confidence. So just keep your guys' eyes on these League Cup games, but worst case scenario, just focus on the press conferences coming up on Thursday and Friday to get your latest news about your FPL options. So now going on to the fixture ratings for the upcoming Game Week 6, and the first one we're going to look at is going to be the attacking ratings, because the attack is just generally a bit more exciting than the defenses. So coming in hot there with the best fixture from an attacking point of view, it's going to be Everton versus Norwich. Unfortunately for Norwich, I think generally most game weeks they're going to be the best attacking rated fixture. Simply put, they're just really bad from a defensive point of view. So unfortunately, I think that Everton are going to have a relatively easy game here, and I really am favoring those Everton options, not only from an attacking point of view, but you'll see later on a little bit from a defensive point of view as well. So unfortunately, a player like a Calvert-Lewin is not going to be much help in this fixture because he is still injured, but a player like a Damari Gray or a Richarlison, maybe if you want to take a punt on a Rondon, that could also be a good situation to go for. As we saw last week with Watford, Norwich just aren't up to scratch for the Prem, and I do think Everton could score a couple past them. Talking about Watford, another team that has a great fixture from an attacking point of view is going to be Watford versus Newcastle. So yes, Newcastle up there with Norwich from a defensive point of view, just really bad this season, and I can honestly see a player like an Ismail Assar, maybe a Dennis, a King, getting some returns here, and I do think I'm quite jealous. Leicester then come in with a fixture against Burnley. Now a couple of seasons ago, you might not have thought this fixture was that great from an attacking point of view, but Burnley this season have also been quite bad, and we saw Leicester not getting the result they wanted against Brighton on the weekend, so they're going to want to look to bounce back from that, and a player like a Jamie Vardy, maybe a Harvey Barnes, those are definitely players that I would maybe be looking at from a differential point of view. We then kind of falter through with some mediocre fixtures, but the one I want to highlight is going to be the next one in the rankings. That's going to be United versus Aston Villa, and the reason why I want to highlight this fixture is because in terms of the premium assets, they're the highest rated premium side, and I think a lot of us are going to look to captain Cristiano Ronaldo in Game Week 6. So in terms of the ratings, their fixture isn't that great, but still within the top 5 fixtures, and I think this might be slightly better than what the algorithm is predicting. But what this will show you that the algorithm always takes the background stats into account, and it might just show you that Aston Villa's defense hasn't maybe been as bad as maybe we are expecting. But this is a home fixture for Man United. It is Man United, it is Cristiano Ronaldo, so I do think you'll probably get some returns in this one, and that's why I'm favoring him from a captaincy point of view. A fixture from a premium asset that you probably haven't seen yet is going to be Liverpool versus Brentford, and that's just kind of key to how well Brentford have been defending this season. I think currently the second best team in terms of XG conceded in the Prem at the moment. So great kind of stats there from a promoted side, and that's maybe why the algorithm isn't really favoring a Liverpool versus Brentford fixture. A couple of other fixtures to kind of fill in the gaps, but not many FPL options are owned from these sides. The one to focus on next is probably going to be West Ham versus Leeds. Now I actually was expecting this game to be slightly higher than it currently is, and I think most of us are actually considering maybe a differential Antonio captain if push comes to shove with Ronaldo. So it's a little bit disheartening to see that West Ham's fixture against Leeds is rated kind of a mediocre attacking rating, but I think the one thing that the algorithm doesn't take into account is going to be injuries. And we've seen that Leeds have had so many injuries in terms of the defense. Luke Ayling kind of pulling out of this League Cup game tonight through injury. And I mean, in terms of their centre backs, they've got injuries and they also have suspensions. So I think that's maybe one of the things that the algorithm isn't really taking into account. And that's why I think that West Ham versus Leeds fixture might be slightly better than what they're saying. To kind of round off the rankings on the screen, we have the Wolves versus Southampton game, and you can see both of them relatively the same game there. That either means there's going to be lots of goals or it's going to be quite a boring 0-0, and based on Southampton stats, I think the 0-0 is slightly more likely. Now going on to the defensive ratings, and to start off, yet again we have Everton versus Norwich. As I said in the attacking ratings, unfortunately I think most game weeks Norwich are going to be at the top of both the defensive and the attacking ratings, not in terms of their own team. It's going to be the teams that are versing them, and I can honestly agree with that. If you guys do have Everton assets, a player like a Luca Digne, that could be a great shout to go for, but I think most of us will probably favour the attack with the Damari Gray. The next fixture might be a little bit of a surprising one. It's actually going to be Southampton versus Wolves. So a lot of people have been asking me in my Twitter DMs, also in my comments of these YouTube videos, should they rather play a Marcel or a Semedo, or should they rather favour the Southampton point of view and play a Livramento? So the Fantasy Football Fix is telling you here that you guys should be favouring a Livramento, as they're the second best defensive rated fixture in the Prem for Game Week 6. I don't know if I necessarily agree with this. Yes, Southampton have actually played Man City, so from a defensive point of view, if they manage to hold off Man City, probably going to be able to hold off the majority of the Prem. But I just think Wolves, one of these game weeks, they're finally going to mesh and they're going to put on their finishing boots, and that's going to be quite a high score. So I don't know if I would rate it that highly, but as I said, the fix algorithm is telling you guys to start Livramento and not to play Semedo or Marcel. The next couple fixtures, we have Leicester against Burnley, which is expected. Liverpool versus Brentford as well. That's going to be quite nice for us Trent owners. Hopefully he's back from that kind of illness that he suffered in game week 5. And then the rest of the opposition, as we falter down, some of us own these differentials, but the majority of the fixtures are just a little bit mediocre. I don't think we're going to be relying on too many clean sheets from those ones. So now that the fixture review is done, you guys have seen the attacking ratings, the defensive ratings, you guys have the context for the algorithm, and let's see what the algorithm picked in terms of its best predicted team for game week 6. So this is going to be the best predicted team for the upcoming game week 6. We have some great fixtures in here, obviously because the algorithm is only going to favor the fixtures that it expects the players to do quite well in. A couple of differential options here if you guys want to maybe use some free transfers, or maybe if you're wildcarding, you can take some 1 week punts on this specific team. So starting off with the bench, I'm just going to tell you guys that nothing is happening on the bench. The only interesting factor is that Ben Foster is probably going to play for Watford against Newcastle this weekend. So if you guys want to maybe consider him as your second goalkeeper, now promoted to that first position, you could also do that. Now I don't think this will be as easy as maybe as Ben Foster owners are expecting. A player like a Gucci, St. Maximum is always in and around the box, and whenever he plays, I always am a little bit cautious about that clean sheet. But now going on to the starting 11, because that's where all the excitement happens. As I mentioned in the introduction, I did set the bench slider to 0%, as I really wanted to pump as much money as possible into the starting 11. But starting off in goal, we actually don't have as much money as you might have expected here. We have Begovic in terms of a 4.0 million goalkeeper starting for Everton, now that Jordan Pickford should be out for at least another 2 weeks. So if you guys want to take a punt on a goalkeeper, maybe Begovic could be your man, but I don't know if I'd be spending too many free transfers. I probably only would move for him if I was on a wild card or if I was burning a transfer. But a lovely fixture for Begovic to kind of greet his new owners against Norwich. As we saw, Norwich the best rated fixture in terms of the defense. So that's why you can see a double up of Luca Digne and then also Begovic. A really nice combination there. Luca Digne obviously offering you that attacking threat. And against a Norwich side that haven't been too great, I do think he could be on the receiving end of a clean sheet and also maybe an assist. Trent Alexander-Arnold here comes in as a kind of a no-brainer option against a Brentford side that haven't really been that great going forward. Seem to be quite hit or miss. This is a home fixture for them, so I reckon there could be a lot of goals in this one. So maybe not the best, but he could also offer some attacking returns. Then the final player in the back line, maybe opting for some more secured expected minutes instead of a Livramento. We do have Bednarek from Southampton, and he comes in here as a nice little cheaper option against a Wolves side that simply haven't found their finishing boots, unfortunately. So I might not recommend going with Bednarek, maybe go for Livramento, maybe more of an attacking threat from that fullback position, but I mean Bednarek could also be an attack from the set pieces. So if you guys do own a Southampton defender, maybe consider playing them. Now going on to the midfield department, and you guys will see that there's quite a big player that has been left out of that midfield. And yes, it's going to be Mo Salah, but I think because of the algorithm, as we spoke about, with Brentford being quite a good defensive side this season, maybe they're not really favouring a Mo Salah, and instead they're favouring his counterpart, and it's going to be Bruno Fernandes from United. So this just shows you that because the algorithm is predicting that Aston Villa game is better than the Brentford game, that's why Bruno Fernandes and Ronaldo have been included in this team, and I can honestly maybe understand it a little bit. Now I do think those Brentford stats have been a little bit overestimated. The opposition that they've faced haven't really been the best, and I think that Liverpool side from an attacking point of view might challenge those defensive stats quite a bit, but we'll go with what the algorithm is predicting, and that's going to be Bruno Fernandes and Ronaldo as a double up, and pretty much with Ronaldo as your captaincy as well. So Ronaldo is predicted to score the most points, so if you guys want a captaincy option, definitely look at him from the stats point of view. And I mean, Bruno Fernandes could be a nice little differential to also own. Obviously his ownership took a massive knock since Ronaldo has entered the Prem. Going on to the rest of the midfield, we have Diego Jota here as a little bit of coverage for that Liverpool attacking side of things. I don't really have much faith in Jota this weekend. Firmino has apparently returned to training today, and he might be in contention to start against Brentford. And Jota, if you guys have watched the game, simply hasn't been up to scratch from those first two games of the season, and he missed that massive chance on the weekend. So if Jota starts, could maybe get some returns, but as I said, don't have too much faith in him. But the two players that I really do have faith in for game week 6 are going to be the next two midfielders. Ismaila Sarr and Demarai Gray from Everton. So Sarr, lovely fixture against Newcastle. I think it'll be quite a similar game to how the Norwich game played out. So I'm expecting only more points for US Ismaila Sarr owners, and definitely one that I'm looking to maybe bring in for my game week 6 personal team selection. Demarai Gray, though, from an attacking point of view, hands down the best fixture in terms of that Norwich game. So I really am favouring him, and he's basically been playing as a second striker in that Everton lineup. So if you guys want a cheaper option, definitely consider him, even if you want to downgrade one of your more premiums. The final two players in the starting 11 are going to be our next two forwards. Jamie Vardy there, spoke about that Burnley fixture being so good. Burnley haven't been great from a defensive point of view, and Jamie Vardy coming off that goal on the weekend. Now against Brighton, Leicester did not look great, but I mean Jamie Vardy still ended up scoring. So just imagine if Leicester can string some passes together and actually get some attacking threat going. Jamie Vardy could actually get a nice haul against this Burnley side that haven't been great. The final attacker to talk about is going to be Antonio there, coming back from that suspension, should be raring to go against a Leeds side that has been depleted in terms of defensive injuries and also suspension. So Antonio for me is a nice little differential captain if you want to go for him, but I think most of us generally will be going for a Mo Salah or a Cristiano Ronaldo. So let me know in the comments down below what you think of this best predicted team. If you guys had to make your own best predicted starting 11, what would it be? You could also include maybe some options that you think are going a little bit under the radar that you are actually predicting to score a little bit of a mini haul. But this is basically a wrap up the video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like it if you did, and subscribe if you have not subscribed yet. Tons of content coming up still in this midweek, but as I said, please pay attention to those League Cup games, and also let me know in the comments down below what you think my release schedule for these videos should be. I'm signing off. It's been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.